United Football Club. Conflicting stories. Some say a stake with a view to purchasing the whole club going forward. Some say he just wants to buy the whole club outright. Either way, it is great news if it's true, of course, and of course that the Glazers are willing to sell. I think this is something that United fans have wanted for a long time. We've wanted the Glazers out. We've wanted some, but the problem is you want the Glazers out, but you need to have someone step in willing to buy the club. The Glazers aren't going to sell on the cheap. They're going to want 2, 3, 4. I've even seen rims of 5 billion when they do sell the club. So you need someone who's got the money, who's got the backing financially, who's in it for the right reasons. And I believe that Sir Jim Ratcliffe, I mean, every company he's touched, every sports organisation, from cycling to the football teams to his interest in F1. I think you can say that every time he's been a positive, every sort of influence, all these organisations, he's had a positive influence on them. He's somebody who I think, he's a football fan. He's believed to be a Manchester United fan. And even if he's not actually a United fan, just being a fan of football and knowing about the game is more than you get from the Glazers. The Glazers don't know anything about football. They're American, and that in and of itself isn't necessarily a bad thing, but they're Americans who don't know anything about soccer, as I would call it. Sir Jim Ratcliffe is different. He already owns football clubs. He owns Nice in France. I believe he has a Swiss club as well. The guy is the richest guy in Britain. He is almost the perfect person to come in and take our club. Anyone who's been looking online in the last few days will have seen that there's already protests. Even before this came out, there's already protests that have been planned around the game against Liverpool on Monday of next week. There's already massive protests planned, probably thousands of fans taking part in the protests. This is something that was already going to happen before this news came out. We've now finally, as a fan base, got somebody we can unite and get behind. This is a time now for United fans. Whatever you think of Ronaldo, Maguire, McTominay, Fred, whatever you think of these players as individuals, as players, we could put that to one side. Whether you think Maguire's a good captain or not, put it all to one side. Whether Ronaldo should stay, forget it. We now need to get behind anybody who can actually make a serious offer to purchase the club and get rid of the Glazers. For too many years now, the Glazers have been parasites sucking blood out of Manchester United. Parasites. They brought us on debt, leverage. It was a leveraged buyout. They basically used debt in the name of Manchester United to buy Manchester United. The Glazers have hardly spent any of their own money actually on the club. People say about £1 billion in transfers. It is not the Glazers' money we've spent. We are spending money that the club has generated through its own commercial operations or has borrowed, and its debt that's leveraged against the club, not against the Glazers. This is a situation that's led to ultimately where we are now, in that we are spending so much money servicing these debts. But I think it's over £1 billion now we've spent servicing the Glazers' debts that they have forced on our club. They have forced this £1 billion. They've forced this debt on the club, and with the interest and the repayments, it's over £1 billion. Factor in all the dividends. All the Premier League team pays out dividends like we do. Twice this year already. Twice. And I said it in my previous video that we've actually the biggest, second biggest outlay, after the Lisandro Martinez signing of around 50 million, is the 20 odd million was spent on dividends to the Glazers. So we've got owners who have brought the purchase the club on debt. They put nothing into it. They take plenty out of it, and they're just milking us. We're a cash cow, and they're milking us. And this, until that situation changes, we've got a stadium that's falling apart, literally rusting and leaking. We've got training facilities that are woefully out of date. We've got a playing squad that needs massive, massive improvements. And nothing's changing. This was the summer this was meant to be the reset this summer. New manager. Woodward's gone. We've got a new CEO. This was meant to be the reset. This was meant to be the big change. This was meant to be where we saw, the big change in United, and it hasn't happened. As fans, we have been let down. And people go, "Oh, but you spent £1 billion." And forget where the money's come from and all that. It's not even about the amount of money. We've been linked with Frankie de Jong, who doesn't want to come to United. We've been linked with these players for 80, 90 million pounds. And a lot of United fans I know will be happy with a 30 million pound player like Sangare, but with Glazer from Germany. We'll be happy with these cheaper signings. It's not about the money. It's about the way our club's being run. It's about what they've done to our club, what our club's become, what it's come to symbolise. We are no longer making decisions based on footballing reasons, footballing logic. We make decisions based on commercial reasons, commercial decisions, factors, social media followers, interactions. This is what we are now making decisions on as a club, and we have been for some years under the Glazers. They're bad owners, and they'd be bad owners of any football club. Any football club. It's not just Manchester United. They'd be bad for Arsenal, Liverpool. I wouldn't wish them on any of them. Even our rivals. I would not wish the Glazer ownership on any of those teams. And they need to go. They've needed to go for years. But there's never been somebody who, as fans, we say we've got a viable option. We have somebody we can get behind who has got the money, who's realistic. I could say, I'm going to buy the club. I'll get rid of it. I ain't got billions of pounds. I can't afford to do it. I haven't got the money. I haven't got the connections with the bankers or whatever. This guy has. He's got the money himself. Obviously, he's been in business for years. He's got connections. He can actually afford to do it on his own if he wanted to. Or he could actually go and get other people involved and have a little consortium, whatever. But he's got the means to do it. I believe he's got the good intentions behind him when he does it. And I actually believe this is what we need now. We need this as a club. It will be a reset if he takes over. If Sir Jim Ratcliffe takes over Manchester United, it will be a reset. The Glazers will be gone. It will be the end of an era, the end of a horrendous era that, honestly, I think it will become a celebration, a day of celebration for Manchester United fans when this does happen, if it happens, of course. There's no guarantees yet. There's no certainties. We don't know if the Glazers definitely do want to sell. And even if they're willing to sell part of the club, where they want to then relinquish the rest, for all we know, they'll look at selling 10, 15%. And okay, you can put the money in on the provision that it goes towards the stadium or this, that, and the other. But ultimately, the Glazers are still the ones in charge calling the shots. It needs to be a meaningful stake, if it's only a partial stake, with conditions attached to it. I mean, in a year, 2 years' time, he can then purchase the rest of the club. If that's the deal, okay, it's short-term pain because we're still going to have the Glazers as majority owners for another year or two, whatever. But at least there's a light then at the end of the tunnel. There's an exit. We can see a way out, and that's where we need to be. We need to be going towards that exit. If there's an exit, if there's a light at the end of the tunnel, I will take that, and I think a lot of other United fans will. So this is something now where we need to get together as a fan base. We need to unite. We need to support the protests that are going on, I believe. As fans, we need to make our voices heard. And whether that's, there in person on Monday night at the protest, whether that's online, whether that's through, and obviously don't go over the top with it. You start being abusive, start, harassing people. It's not going to end well, and it's just giving the Glazers ammunition to use and say, oh, look them, riffraff. We can't listen to these people. It needs to be legal, above board, but we need to put pressure on. Contact sponsors. Contact the big sponsors, the Adidases, the team viewers. Contact the lots of them. Speak, just reach out to them on social media and just say, fans are boycotting your brand because of your association with the Glazers. What do you make of this? Just highlight the situation to these brands, because I can't imagine they're going to be happy. They're losing sales. If Adidas are losing sales, if Marriott Hotels lose a few sales, these companies are not going to be happy at losing sales because of the Glazers, and they will put pressure on the fans from whatever angle we can. Now we need to be united. We need to put pressure on the Glazers. We need to get them out of our club, and we need to get behind whoever this new owner is going to be. Possibly looking like could be Sir Jim Ratcliffe. This is what needs to happen now. Of course, it's possible that now Sir Jim Ratcliffe's put his interest out there. If there is perceived to be a willingness from the Glazers to sell, we could actually see other people, other parties come forward. Because, there'll be other billionaires out there who So, well, I fancy giving that a go. One away Manchester United. So it could well be that it's not Sir Jim Ratcliffe in the end. It could be somebody else. We need to see, wait and see. But it's happening. Things are happening. And we need to get behind this. We need to ramp up the pressure on the Glazers. We need to make our voices heard, make it known that we do not want them in our club, that they're parasites. They've sucked the life and blood out of our club for far too long, and it needs to stop. It needs to end, and they need to be gone. And I don't think there's much more I can say on that. I think I made my feelings known. It's news that's broke today. This is just me reacting to it. I'm sure we'll get more details coming out in the next few days, especially with playing on Monday. Obviously, it'll build up to the protest on Monday night. If Sir Jim Ratcliffe has got any plans of buying United and he's serious about it, I'm sure things will come out between now and Monday from his camp, from his side, that sort of just, a bit of fuel on the fire just to ramp up the pressure a little bit, turn up the heat a little bit on the Glazers. So yeah, we'll see how it's going. If you got any opinions, again, drop them in the comments. Let me know what you think, and I'll be sure to reply. If you watch the video, if you got this far, please hit the like button. Please hit subscribe, so that you know when I go live or upload a video. And yeah, onwards and upwards. Glazers out. Come on, let's do this.